Good afternoon. Honored to be here sharing my experience and knowledge. So I'm Federico. I'm working with this technology for the last 18 years from the Magento 1 days. So many of you also know what I'm talking about. I live in Argentina and I'm a developer at Fulcrum Digital. I have all these Magento certifications. I guess that the last one is not more valid, but I keep there because keep the slides balanced and I like it. So we are going to introduce this new framework raised by Adobe, that is the app builder. This is the definition from Adobe. I'm not going to read because you know read. Just I'm going to share and give you some seconds to understand what we are talking about and try to, this is all so new, also new for Adobe, is new for us, is new for the developers, for all the people. So we are trying to understand what is happening, how we now need to extend the Magento capabilities, the Magento core working steps and all the stuff, but now we can't use PHP. As a PHP developer, I'm very frustrated because, again, one more time, we need to learn something new. But this situation is not something new for Adobe developers. I think that we can remember the days, the Magento 1 days, when we moved to how to learn to make a good module with good practice, not editing the core. Then we learned how to move to Magento 2 with a complete different approach related with declarative schema and a lot of things that they introduced. And now our friends do it again. All that we learned on the last 8, 5, 3 years, we need to put in the trash and start from scratch again. You do this? I like it. Incredible, I like it. So I spent some time on my company to train and to try to make our first app. And this is what I'm going to share with you is a true history, how a goal that we put on the table finally converts in an open source module that we hope that is going to be working for everybody and can be extended and use it for any people that want to solve similar problems. So let's introduce the problem. This is our challenge. This is a SaaS instance. I don't know if any of you can work with this because it's very limited. You can see on the right button that we don't have anymore the Magento version because now it's going to be always upgraded by them, and we don't need to worry about nothing related with patch and upgrades and new versions and this kind of stuff, but we need to worry about other stuff. This is our first problem. Okay, I want to create a new shipping method. How we did do in the past? Very simple. On the Magento 2, we go to Marketplace and search for custom shipping module, or maybe we can go to GitHub. I remember some vendors that provide some modules that you can also configure on this side on the back end. And you also can create your own module because only with 6, 7 files, and you need to worry just for implement the collect rates interface, I guess, and other stuff to set up as a shipping method is going to work very easy, and the problem is going to be solved. But now it's different. Our problem, what we put on the table, our goal was create a new shipping method that make a fake calculation, something very interesting related with the zip code, because we want to interact and we want to refresh every time that the customers change his zip code. So what we do for starting with this, we use the Adobe Starter Kit. And for be clear, this is not the Checkout Starter Kit. This is the Adobe Starter Kit. It's also a set of powerful actions that you can use for connect with Adobe. And you can see that inside the action folder, that is the folder that we are browsing now, we have some subfolders with customer, order, product, stock. Inside these folders, we have only one JS file. For all the cases, only one index.js file. So each folder on this actions folder is going to be a different action that we are going to use, for example, on this starter kit. On my case, my first goal, I didn't know nothing about a builder, know nothing about JS, nothing, and Node. So what I did was use the starter kit info action, that is a generic action that only writes hello or writes hey, I'm the starter kit. And how we do this and how we were upgrading the challenge for finally have a app module. So this was my first action, the first time that I used the app builder. So I create a one-line action, that is a generic action, get from the starter kit. And you can see it's very, very, very simple. It's just one line. It doesn't matter how we call, with parameters, with no parameters, with content. Anything is always to rise at 200 and say hello world. So if you can see in the other, that is my terminal, I can make a post to this new URL that finish with hello after the deployment of this action, using the app builder, and I'm going to receive hello world. Okay, great. I have my first action working, so it's a great. It's great for any developer that start with a new language, have his own hello world working. So then we move to our second action that is also a generic action. What I mean when I say generic action, when you set up or create a new action with the app builder, you can choose to set up a API mesh action or any other different actions that are more complicated or do something different. On this case, are just the most common and the most simple actions that we can create, and this is why we are using this path. So this is also a very simple action, but it has 20 lines. The first 10 lines is only a validation that, okay, we are getting a price and we are getting a zip code from your request. These are the first 10 lines, and obviously if we don't have it, it's going to fail and it's going to rise up 400. And in the next 10 lines, we have the logic. The logic say, okay, we are going to create the factor that is going to multiply the zip code with a 0, starting with a 0, and then we are going to create a shipping cost that is going to be very easy, price, factor, two digits. And then return the 200 and the shipping. So we deploy this action, and what we have what we want. The original problem was solved when we ping this, post this URL that finished with calculate shipping fulcrum with a zip code of New York and 100 price. We are getting 10 as a price that is correct. And if we want to use a Miami zip code, we are going to get the 33.30. So, great. My action is working. My problem is solved. I have the main action of my app, and I want to put something on the table here that is what it changed for complete on the development side. You remember on the Magento 2 modules, we have a folder called model, and inside the model you can find all the logic of your module when you want to put something like this, when you want to make your calculation or you want to make your core function, you use a model. Now, with this API first approach, the model is an endpoint. This is the big change, and all is going to be an endpoint. If you want to use a function for make an internal calculation, you need to create a new action that is going to be a new endpoint, and maybe with other actions you are going to call to this endpoint to get the values. So this is why it changed for complete how we develop modules, how we develop stuff, anything is going to be with this approach, and I think this is very important. Learn and think on this way. On our case, this was our first action and was correct because we solved the logic of our small problem that is a fake problem. We use only for learn. And this was very good. So, what we do next? Okay, I want to have this logic on the Magento checkout. And here is when the things start coming fun. Okay, what I learned after a lot of documentations, calls, and talks with the Adobe guys. Okay, the way to connect these things that we do with the app builder with the backend of Magento is using these webhooks. And you can see that we can go to System Webhook, and inside the webhook you have 3 submenus that are webhook subscription, webhook list, and webhook other that is not that so important. So what we did there is we used the plugin that we need to use for that finish with get rates. Doesn't matter, on our case, we need to use the after for calculate after the checkout is initialized, or every time that the customer changed the address or add a new product to the cart, we are going to call to this webhook. And it doesn't matter the batch name and the hook name, but the important thing is the URL that we create. It's the URL, the action that we create on the last step. It's not exactly the same because on our first example, we only pass a price and a zip code, and really on Magento, and after reviewing the webhook structure that we need to pass the cart and also the address complete. So what we did was extract the zip code and from the address and extract the total orders from the cart. And you can see also on the last side that we have a way to edit and delete this webhook, but also 2 powerful options there. That is, you can test and you can show the logs there. So why is important? Because for test, if you want to check if you have your digital signature configured good, you can make calls from the backend. That is very important, not use Postman or not use the console that maybe is not going to rise or to get the response as expected. And also the log was very important because on my case that I didn't make it work on the first try, was very important checking the logs to know what was happened, why it not render on the checkout, why this is not working. Okay, on my head on this time, I was thinking that was enough with setting the URL with the logic that works. Also set the webhook and test and be sure that it's working. And after I didn't receive more errors on the log, that I say, okay, this is going to work. I'm going to go to my checkout and I'm going to see my Fulcrum shipping method rendering. But this was not true. This not work with these 2 steps. And why? We need to introduce this API that is a new endpoint. It's the out-of-process shipping method. This is something new on the SaaS, and for the other instance or the other technologies, no, sorry, for the other, for cloud and the other environments, you can install as a new module. We have this for shippings and also for payments and also for tax collect. So what is this new REST endpoint? It allows you to create, edit, and delete other shipping methods. When I'm saying other shipping methods, are not out-of-the-box shipping methods. You can see here, when I present this, the problem. These are the out-of-the-box shipping methods. We can't add nothing more. Obviously, we can use maybe flat rate or table rate for solve a small issue, but we don't have a way to create a new one. So I was learning step by step that if you create a new shipping carrier and also you have configured on your webhook, it's supposed, and there are no errors, it's supposed to work. So what I did, I post to our sandbox SaaS instance. You can see is OPA shipping carrier. We put one new carrier, and it responds with a 200 and the code and the stores, nothing more. You can see here that we can't set a price, for example. Why we can set a price? Because the price is going to be always by an API. This is why we can set the price. We only can set sort order, countries, other stuff using the REST API, but for example, we don't have a way to set the price because the price is going to be part of other logics. So, finally, okay, this is my checkout. It's working. Okay, if I'm logged and I'm buying something that I want to send to Miami Beach, my cost is going to be 33.13, and on the Magento checkout, see like this. And if I switch and I click on New York, it's going to change. It's not going to be deselected. It's going to continue selected, but it's going to render with a new price. So, great, I have my shipping method working. This is very easy, in fact, but was not so easy. What I didn't like of this, I think that is a lot oriented to developers, because what it means that you need to make a post request for make it work. Who that only install modules or want to install my app is going to interact with my Postman API, and also for interact with the API, you need to create a token on your developer console, a lot of steps that are not easy and not familiar with some guy that want to extend a extension. So our first goal was solved, and we say, okay, we have it, this is working, yeah, we learn a builder, but who cares this shipping method? Who is going to use? Nobody. It's nothing. It doesn't make sense. So, this is why. What about the Checkout Starter Kit? And what is the Checkout Starter Kit? Okay, I want to introduce, by luck, in the middle of the development of this module, the Adobe guys released the Checkout Starter Kit. That is another powerful set of actions, but specific for the checkout. Let's review. It's more or less the same. I'm on Actions folder also, and you can see there that we have a lot of folders. Each folder is a new action or an action. And in my case, I only use shipping methods. All the others, I deleted. I didn't use it. I only use shipping method. That is the front-end action that calculates the shipping on this module. For validate this, I create another instance. I install the Checkout Starter Kit alone. I validate how it's work, and I was able to say, okay, if I modify shipping methods with my logic, I'm going to have the same. And the big difference is this set of actions that we have here, says Commerce Backend UI, and you can see here a set of actions and also a HTML file that is more familiar than the JS for me. And okay, how we use this starter kit? On my case, as I mentioned, I delete all, I keep only the shipping methods and the Commerce Backend UI. And this allows us to create a second version of our shipping method that is a configurable shipping method. Because on the past, when we were playing with our fake shipping method, we don't have a way to disable, for example. If we want to disable, we need to go to the webhooks and edit the URL and change the URL, put a point or put a slash finishing for the webhook fails and don't render. And this is horrible. So what we want and what we did with the checkout starter kit, this is our second version of the module. Using the backend actions, you can render a form. You can set some variables that are going to be used, like configuration variables, and you can set the price. So on this step, we learn how we can save values on the Magento backend as we did on the past, on the 2.3 or on any version. That is crucial for any app or module that you want to build, because something very simple. You want to keep enable and disable, and you are not going to uninstall, So this was the second version of our module that, on this case, looks more like, hey, okay, maybe some people want to use it, because if you have a local rider, a local biker, for example, and you don't want to use the flat rate, or you don't want to use table rate, maybe you can use our Fulcrum custom shipping module, configure, set a name using the post and this horrible shit, and set the price, and finally have something like this. Okay, looks good. We have the first two are out-of-the-box shipping method, and the third is our custom shipping that on this point we can't edit. For example, if we want to edit the name, we need to go again through Postman and make a post or a edit, I don't know. It's something not maintainable, but it's better than the other. At least it's worked for someone. So we were not happy with this. On this point is when I say, okay, we finish. We have this working. This is our module. And my managers comes to me and say, okay, why do you don't make a grid of modules so we can edit, create more, add, and do this on an easy way for the backend customer, and you don't need to worry about Postman or any API calls. So we finally do this, that is the final version of our module, when you can set up any kind of different shipping methods. Also, you are going to see in the next slide, we can configure for different customer groups, different stores. We have a minimum and a maximum for solve the problem that if you want to have a price that is decreasing when you have a more price card or something like this, you can set up all this. And how we do this with the starter kit, the checkout starter kit, and the backend actions. This is very simple, and I'm going to show you. Obviously, we are going the API. So all that you see on this grid are shipping methods that are created and are stored on the Magento REST API. And these are the actions that we need to build for make this. For example, the add career only post a new career, but also save the values for shipping and other settings that we can't save on the REST API on variables. So when you say add a career, you need to send all the fields that the API requires, plus some other fields that we need to save, like the price and other stuff, or is assigned to a customer group or anything. The delete carrier is the same. We are deleting from the API, but also we are deleting the values that we have stored on the variables. The get carriers is used on this grid that you saw on the last screen, and the last two backend actions are only used for configuration. The get customer group and get stores are only used, are natives, and are only used for config. And on the front-end actions, we have the calculate shipping, that is the action that make the logic, and the get carriers. And here is very interesting because we have two get carriers actions on the first dev that we did, and then we say, okay, what is the difference between get carriers on the back end and get carriers on the front end? Okay, the only difference is that the get carriers on the back end get all the carriers, the active and not active, and on the front end we only get the ones that are active. Okay, why do you can use the get carriers from back end and only ask in the logic, okay, this is enabled or not enabled. If it's enabled, I'm going to show. If it's not enabled, I'm not going to show. So we remove, finally, the get carriers front-end actions, and we use the same as the backend. Guys, these are decisions that you need to take when you develop something. It's like, okay, we are going to create a function to extend this and put it on a different file, or we are going to rewrite a new function and use the same logic. These kind of things are the ones that you have to deal with. So, finally, this is the add carrier form. That is, you can see that it's very different of what we are familiar to see on the Magento backend. We can add a carrier with price, minimum, maximum, the sort order that I'm going to talk about a little in a few slides. Also, we introduce the price per item, so you can say that, okay, this price is going to be per item, so if you have 5 of this, you are going to multiply by 5. Customer groups and stores to apply this. Working as expected. This is the final version of our module. This is how you see on the checkout. And the last, for example, that is logged in is a test for the customer groups that only shows to a logged in customer. Very interesting. Something crazy that I learned, that I was sharing with Nicanor a few minutes ago. The sort order is not working as we expect. The sort order now on this boilerplate template is always going to be by price, and only if you have the same price is going to use the sort order for sort. I asked Adobe why, because I opened a ticket and I was thinking that was an error, but they say me that no, it's a product decision. Now, always the shipping options are going to be from the cheaper to the last one. So this is how it works, and it's worked as expected. So what's next? This is the next step. It's not done, but what we want to do on our next step, what happens if we want to use the calculate shipping fulcrum original method now on the grid? We are trying to introduce a new form that you can choose, not a price, just a URL, and with other configurations, you can set up a new carrier API for get the prices from a URL. This is the idea of this module. And I didn't mention, but this module is free and open source before some discussion with our sales team in New York. And basically, this is how it works. I don't know if you see some apps installed on the SaaS instance. All are on our apps menu. This is how it renders. It's getting the carriers. And this is how you can add a new one. Very easy. You can see the last. It's added. Obviously, you can edit, delete, and all the steps. And finally, this is the repo. You can clone, you can use, you can inspect. Something good is that we use this repo MD file for Adobe Submit. So all the actions are documented here. Also, you have some screenshots and some stuff. The last thing that I want to mention is that we submit this module to Adobe Exchange like 2 weeks ago. And finally, yesterday, we have a reply. And we need to make some small changes, but it looks like it's going to be approved and it's going to be listed soon. I don't know when, but this is all, guys. Nothing more. I don't want to ask for questions because if you don't have questions, I'm going to feel bad. If you have questions, please. Oh, okay. What is the question?
So what extent would you say the functionality that a lot of emergency have installed, like customizations and other things that you like over time, what extent do you feel like that can be fully replicated with the app?
Really, I think that the apps is going to take. Oh, no, but let's do it this way. You can.
So the question is, to what extent can the functionality of the accumulated customizations over the years and the installed extensions over the years be replicated, in totality with this app approach on the SaaS platform?
Thank you. I know that all the companies are working on move the functionality of our own modules to apps. I really don't feel comfortable saying apps. I'm still with extension or module, and when I need to say apps, looks like, hey, it's nothing related with what the work that we do, but we need to learn. I know that all the companies are working. I know that Adobe has a project that I think that the name is 100 or something like this, that all the companies that have extensions are working on migrate to this app builder. And I think that it's going to be complicated on the first step when we can co-live apps, and also because here on the SaaS instance, we only can install apps. But if you want to use cloud or other instance, it's going to be complicated that can co-live apps from App Builder and also Magento modules that you can deploy. So it's going to be a little complicated on the next months or years, but then I guess that finally these apps is not going to be like this. It's going to be more like Shopify, that you can extend you can install the extension, upgrade, and delete from one part of the backend and nothing more. And I hope that this really happens. Any other question, Mr. Nicanor? We have time, so.
So I'm going to put you in a hard spot here. Compared to like traditional developing of modules, how hard was this?
Guys, for me, that I didn't know nothing about Node.js was really very hard to learn. I use really ChatGPT and AI not for develop the module. I use for learn really and for check if what I was doing was correct. Obviously, all the people that use AI for development know that it's not so easy that looks, because you need to interact a lot of times, and finally you need to know what is happening to say, okay, this is good or not good. So in my case, I use just for learn. For learn, I use it, but really, guys, we need to relearn all again. Unfortunately, it's hard. It's going to be more harder than ever, because it's not only learn a new language, it's learn a different approach to attack the problems. Yeah, hope this message is good for us. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for your time. Pleasure.